here today, especially since it's Sunday with Sarah Dawkins, and that makes it even more sunny. And with that said, if it's 11 a.m. Eastern Time, it's LinkedIn Live, Hour of Empower. Today's word of the day is inspiring. Chat's open. We depend on chat to direct us and to make us as relevant as we can to your present thoughts and needs. So, looking forward to that while chat starts to come in. Sarah, why don't you say hello? Maybe bring everybody a little up to date and your initial thoughts on inspiring.
Hi everyone, and thanks for joining us again. I can't believe 2 weeks have gone by, Don. It's just time is just marching on so quickly. Um, Not much difference happened in my life. I'm still writing scripts for my podcast and my meditation class in the village, and sourcing music, putting it all together, and seeing clients. But let's look at the word inspiring that you've chosen today. I mean, what even is inspiring? Because we are inspired by people, but what is inspiring? Well, my take on it is inspiring is something that affects us, that influences. But it could also be about our breath. When we inspire, we breathe in and take in oxygen that we need for life. So there's the two parts of it, to keep it simple. But we look up to people who inspire us, and their inspiration often affects our behaviour and influences our life. So inspiring is something that usually we see in others that we can be in ourselves. But the point to make inspiration just happens. You can't will it to happen. You can't make it happen. It's just happening. So you don't live your life wanting to be inspiring, because you will just inspire as and when as you live your life.
Oh, I think that's a great start. And I think the big part of the word inspire is the in, right? So you're taking something in and inspiring or being inspired by your acceptance and the integration of what it is around you to maybe fortify you, complement you, maybe a missing piece. And then if you take it one more step, aspire is usually the highest part of a structure. In the old buildings, they used to have spires on top. And in a sense, it might mean coming in and raising something inside yourself to a higher level, reaching a higher altitude with whatever it is that you want to enhance, increase, or actually just favor. Because, music is always inspiring. You
Isn't
know,
it?
I mean, if you asked everybody, I'd say the average person on the street, what inspires you, the easiest thing for them to say is music. When I'm in a bad mood or when I want to work out, I'm a little sluggish, I pick up the tempo. Art is inspiring,
Yeah.
photography, conversation. So I guess what you could say is sports, everything inspires different people in different ways,
It does.
right? And it's about how do you allow as much of that inspiration to come in and raise what's already there and choose where you want it to be raised. So I mean, we're off to a great start. I want to say hello to Renadeb, always the first to comment, always the same two comments. It's nice to be consistent. People recognize you because of something they're used to. Ashif is here. Ashif brings so much value, so many great insights and quotes. You can tell who's really following the conversation and then guiding the conversation. And I think there's something to being a quality listener and a quality viewer, because that's where you can get your inspiration. If you're distracted, if you're six different places, you get the filtered approach. Ivan's here. Haven't seen you, Ivan, in a while. Inspiring comes in alignment with own vision. It's beautiful to be a channel. Same as music at the concert, art of playing, art of inspiration. Beautiful. Thanks and cheers. Uh, Thank you, Ivan. Great thought. And I'm so happy we're picking words that people can instantly relate to.
Yes.
And hopefully, we're not just educating, we're making people aware of what's already within themselves and how they can activate it and self actualize without waiting for something, which they think will complete them. Why not expand something within yourself? And inspiring usually turns out to have a happy uh, event to it, right? Went to a concert, boy, did I get blown away. And most of the time you just want to get out of your mind. It's like I went to the Art Institute and all of a sudden I traveled to 17th century for a while, right? Sarah, so what do you think about all these wonderful thoughts?
Yeah, just to add to what you were saying, Don, another thing with inspiring is it's often something that we see or take in with our senses, music we hear, but I would say it's usually seen and heard are the inspirational things. And they cause us to take action usually. So we're inspired in the present moment, but our actions lead us to our future of change because of that inspiration. So it affects our behavior and brings about a change within us. That change obviously takes action from us so we will see it within our future.
Well, I think that's so well articulated because I know it's based on experience. You know, everybody has been inspired by someone.
Yes.
And sometimes inspiration takes time, because you first don't even know what's happening and then it arrives to you. And then you're in the curious mode to what is this and what is it doing? And then you get hopefully to the awe end of it, where you're awestruck, where something is just awesome. And what that can do is replace something that used to be inspiring with something that's more presently inspiring, which doesn't discount the last inspiration. The last inspiration led to the new one. And again, just like people have a gratitude journal, one could make a list of what inspired me today, who inspired me today, and be conscious and aware so that at the end of the day, you can say, I created these opportunities. I opened these doors. Omar's here. Great to see Omar. Omar's a pretty active guy on LinkedIn, especially with his show. And it's so great to see people doing things they always wanted to do, didn't have a stage, but now can inspire others with what they're doing. And having, again, that access is so important internally and externally. So, Sarah, what has been one of the most inspiring moments in your life?
Oh, there's been many. I see people's just random people. It can be behaviors and words and the way they deal with situations. And some of it inspires me, like, oh, I'd really like to, I like what they said, I like what they did, and take that on board. And then other behaviors and actions and words, I'm like, well, that really didn't sit well with me, so I don't want to be like that. So there's always inspirational people that you can look up to guide your behavior on your life path in a good way, as in I'm going to emulate that behavior because I really like it. I'm going to use those words because I really like it. Or I'm not going to do that other thing. I didn't like that. It didn't sit well with me. So everybody is our teacher in one way or another, so they can inspire us to better ourselves in our own journey. And I think inspiring people tend to be quite spiritually driven, and they're open to new possibilities. They're quite open-minded. And I think also they tend to seek advice because they're open-minded and want to learn more on their own journey through life. They can be open-minded to take on board and have their biases and beliefs challenged, not in a conflict type of a way, but in a way of self-development. And I think they can be quite sympathetic towards others because they're so open-minded and understand more of other people as well as themselves. So inspirational people tend to have a lot of similar qualities. And it's, as I say, it's about their own journey through life, enhancing that, but also the knock-on effect of how their behavior and words sit with other people. And I think their minds are open to that, like empathic, sympathetic, if you will. So it's about it's a journey. Being somebody that is inspirational is a journey of self-development and looking to other people for inspiration. Because as I say, it doesn't always just happen. We can't will ourselves to be inspirational, but we can find moments in life. We can find, like you say, music will inspire us. For me, I love being out in nature. It helps nourish my soul. But we've all got our own nuances, if you like, and so we're all inspired by different things, different people, different music, different words resonate, different areas, different places, all resonate differently with different people at a soul level. And I think we should look out for more of what inspires us or who inspires us, um, to be able to look at our own mindset and beliefs and remain open minded with a view to, well, that, why could I not do that? Just because they've done that doesn't negate me from doing that. So it's about keeping your mind open and changing your behavior, your beliefs, your mindset as you see necessary on your own journey.
Yeah, I think that covers a lot of bases and brings a lot of context to the us inspiring word itself. What I am starting to really fully appreciate is how many more opportunities one can create for inspiration, because honestly, every guest, including yourself, especially yourself, inspires me from every show to rethink something, to add a new thought I wasn't thinking about. So, it's not about absolute or complete change. It's about incremental, taking something and polishing it up a little bit, making it more present. And, having an audience gives you a mirror,
Yeah.
and if it's just you and you can think anything you want and you'll be right about you and you. But when other people come into the equation and they validate or question, all of a sudden you either get more validation or more question. And clarity is so important. And I do believe, to what Sarah was saying, people who now accept the responsibility and accountability of being an inspirer now can do things that they wouldn't have done just for themselves because they might have completed that part of it. But knowing there's a group who really, in a sense, depends in a good way on them to continue to inspire them. Because just like musicians, there's some musicians, no matter what they play, you're happy to listen to, right? And it doesn't, it's because of the connection, the openness that you are accepting them. And usually the best inspiration is the unfiltered one, the unjudged one.
Yeah.
Listen to the music for the song. Don't start putting together scenarios of what happened to create the song and what should I think about the song. Because, at a certain point, thinking gets in the way of inspiration, because you start to question, and whenever you start to question, it creates work, it creates trouble, it creates doubt. And if there's a certain point where you just blindly trust because you believe, and you haven't gotten to the point of being academic, logical, legal enough about it. It gives your body and your whole consciousness a new way to travel. You know, how many times people say, just close your eyes and breathe for 20 minutes? And it seems so easy, but so many people have a hard time doing it because they can't detach from
Yeah.
something they're doing, or they're getting ready for something else they're doing. So that 20 minutes seems like an issue. But, you know, everybody needs a rest. You know, if you took a dog for a long, hard walk, first thing they do is probably lay down, get some water, right? And you'd be, I understand. And why not treat yourself as well as you would anybody else? And I think that's where inspiration will lend itself to gratitude.
Yes, it will.
You know, thank you for taking me out of my mood. We'll mention a few more people. We've got a Dr. Emmon wants to know what the takeaway is. Well, that's just listening, I guess, and finding something that relates to you, or sharing something that could relate to us. Another new name, gosh, it's so interesting how many new people gravitate to a show like this. Maria's here, great to see you. Maria's right. Don't overthink, just do. You know, and I think the doing is the trusting. Sarah, what's your thoughts?
One thing that just struck me, Don, as you were talking, was that inspiration can be used as building blocks as well, because throughout our life's journey, different people will inspire us at different times. And so we will change potentially our behavior as we're influenced by that inspirer. And then somebody else will come along and we can build on top of that and potentially change our behavior slightly differently. And then somebody else will come along. So all through life, there might be one or two main people who continue to inspire us. But at the same time, because of the nature of life, and we meet a lot of people and see a lot of things, other people can come in to inspire us as well in a different way. But it can all be used as building blocks, one after another. And we can just, we can take it all on. And as I said earlier, some people will inspire us to do things, and other people will inspire us to not do things, and make sure, we don't lead ourselves down that garden path. So it's inspiring but it's subjective as well, isn't it? It's not objective, because what inspires me might not inspire other people. So it's about my own value subjectively of the worth of that other person, whether it's their words or actions or behaviors. But it's all about what I think, which might be different to what you think or somebody else thinks. And there is no right or wrong. It's about what inspires us all in general, because different things inspire different people. So, we can't just say this one person will inspire everybody, because not everybody's the same. So it is about our own subjective feelings about that person or that thing, the worth of it. And it can be measured objectively in how we change our lives based on what we've seen, heard, done, felt. But it's still a subjective feeling, isn't it? You can't. Inspiration isn't an objective thing. It's totally subjective, because we're all different.
Yeah, and it's all how you feel, which is a measure of inspiration when you include it. I'm thinking also is everything should be inspired. And inspiration can be a seasoning that you add to what you're doing, right? And if you're going on a long walk, you're going to have something that's going to inspire you. It could be your music. It could be, I'm going to look for an owl, and that's my mission on this walk. And if I can see one, or a hawk or an eagle, it'll inspire me, right? It'll take my breath away. It'll make me want to stay in the moment. So when you already know what could happen, if you're fortunate to match up that inspiration with where you are, which is the seasoning, right? The spice that made it special because you were expecting it. and you were also expecting to feel a certain way when you received it. So now you've got all the pieces, and like Leslie Flowers always says, when you start approaching something, it starts approaching you.
I like that. Yeah.
So as you move towards something, it'll move towards you. The caveat is always, what are you inspiring? You can inspire good, you can inspire evil. There's people who, bad people who want to get worse, don't know it. Good people who want to get better and hopefully do know it. And I think that's where, again, you need to go shopping. Just like seasonings, you wouldn't put certain things on certain things, and you want to make it as good as you can. Life is to be lived and enjoyed, and to be able to live it more fully, more connected, and also being the proactive person that's creating things that says, hey, I know on LinkedIn, there's certain times I get ambitious and I'll start reaching out to people I might not have in ways I might not have. And all of a sudden, I make 2 or 3 really good relationships come to be because of doing that message, of deciding to be purposeful with that. So it says the universe is bigger than you are, has more to offer than you're really accepting, but you need to get inspired. You need to get up and get excited. When you're excited, when you're happy, when you feel you could do no wrong, that's the best part of your life, right? Because you're seeing you can manage to get there again, right? It says you haven't lost it, or the world hasn't lost it. And it's like anything else, it's a muscle. You got to exercise it, you got to practice it, you got to work through it. It doesn't like snap your fingers, or it wouldn't have the value. So before we go any further, let's get back to these wonderful people. Where do we stop? Okay, so Maria says, just do. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, but you will pick up a nugget or two. What is the benefit if you didn't do it? Where does neutral ever take you? Where does reverse take you? And why, when you say inspiration, it's like laughter. Yeah, I'll take all you got. Happiness. Where is the counter for that? I'll buy you some of that. And I think if you look at life as a game, because it truly is, there's certain rules, but there's all kinds of fields you can play on. And when you can inspire others, that inspires you back. So there's a mutual inspiration. So Sarah, what this is getting pretty rich.
I think as well, Don, it's about being vulnerable, because people that inspire others tend to share their vulnerabilities, and we see them for who they are, in real life, and we get a really deep feeling for what they're going through or what they're saying because of what they've been through or what they've learned or what they've done as a reaction to being inspired by somebody else. So I think to be an inspirer, you need to show your vulnerability and share that with others, because it makes you more relatable. And it's about being truthful and honest, because people can see straight through when you're not, when you're trying to pretend to be something that you're not. So by sharing that vulnerability helps people to relate to you, and hopefully you inspire others to do something or be something or say something through your own adversaries, if you like, and in that you're overcoming your vulnerability of sharing all of that could help other people in overcoming their adversities. But I think we to be an inspirer, you have to be totally who you are, true to yourself. But that's not to say you can't change as you learn. As you learn more, you do. As you know better, you do better. So it's about being who you are truly, authentically, but also sharing some of that vulnerability with others to inspire them. Because as I say, your story might just help them in their own journey. And there's so much information out on the internet. There's so many people around us. We can use all of what we've learned as the building blocks for our own lives, because it's all too easy just to go through life on autopilot and not have to think. But if we're being the masters of our own journey, then we can use all of this inspiration that we're learning, seeing, hearing, feeling, and use that as the building blocks for our own lives. And in doing so and telling others about it, we will inspire them as well.
Yeah, there's so much to what you said that is so valuable. And I think when someone talks about vulnerability, the word itself does not manifest weakness or strength,
No.
right? So someone could say, I am so strong when I'm vulnerable, as opposed to I'm so weak when I'm vulnerable because of either some shame, embarrassment, someone thinking they have an issue, and if they share it, then they become different in not such an inspiring way. But it's all attitude and activity. If you go into anything shy, timid, weak, whatever the subject, whatever the area, it's going to be judged with that light. If you come in strong, confident, happy, that carries the message. That's why I've always said people always hear your music, not so much your words,
Yeah.
right? If you're jumping up and down and excited, it's going to have to people, what's going on? What am I missing? What makes you so happy? And I think you've got to be the example of your inspiration. You can't teach happiness being sad. And I think you make a quality point when it's authenticity. It doesn't matter who this person is. Is this person aligned with their message? Are they living their message? Are they sharing their message? And there's messages for everybody from everybody else that's saying when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, right? There's all inspiration out there. You have to plan your inspirational day, just like a schedule. You plan your people day, who you're going to be with, when you're going to be with them. Sometimes you plan your meal day. Here's what I'm going to eat for 3 days, and now I can shop and prepare and know what it is. Why not have an inspirational calendar? That's why people like Tony Robbins have done so well. They found a way to reach so many people, and whether you like somebody or not, they were able to change people's views about themselves. And I think that's the key. You can't give somebody something of yours and say, put it in you. But you can take something they have and show it to them and say, here's how you can bring it to others. Real quick, Renadeb says, inspiration may also come by listening to someone's advice or by seeing something on TV or any other media. Even a dog who does something really funny or cute inspires you. You just can't stop laughing at it, right? Victoria says, I think also to inspire, one needs to have lived quite a bit of challenges to use as leverage for sharing the how to people for applying to their own challenges. I think that's so true. And I think the other element of it is gratitude. People are sometimes who haven't failed enough or been disappointed or betrayed. They live a cotton candy type life, and it never gets too deep, and it's just, Goldilocks. It's just right. But that doesn't mean it's serving you going into the future. And then how you open up is how you allow people to come in, right? If you're tight and have a closed door and are careful and you have to ask 10 different types of ID before they can enter, it is not inspiring. Maria says, hate to say sometimes people are not the most kind. It's crucial to connect with the right people and be an example of what you want. I think that's very important, because once you find the people, stop looking, start working together. Everybody's like, can I do better? If you got what you need, use it, take care of it, and add to it, because you never want to be the smartest person in the room, and you never want to give the least of anybody in the room, you know? And I think everybody has to earn their place every day by how they treat that day. Yesterday will not take care of tomorrow, but tomorrow has nothing to do with yesterday either, right? What got you here doesn't have to take you the rest of the way. Ann John's here. Always love to see your name. Greetings, lovely folks. Best wishes. Dennis, our rhymer, is here. Mental strength helps our attitude, and we are more happy and helping others to be happier. Thanks again for leading the way and sharing your knowledge. Well, you know, it's a community, and you can feel the energy if you can't always see the people. And you also know their intention, because Dennis and so many other people here every day. It's not like, what do we do here? It's how fast can we learn and share here and come out of it better for the hour we could have invested somewhere else. And I think that's the measure. Being with this person, was it better than watching TV? Being with this person, was it better than playing a game over there? And if it is, then you can still do the other thing, and now you've got two things, right? So it's not either or, it's either and. Sarah, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, and just coming back to choosing to be intentional with your time, and picking a day to be inspirational. I think the people who are the inspirational people have often been wounded in their past and have traumas and overcome adversities. But they let their wounds and traumas be their wisdom, and they share that with other people through their vulnerability, which takes confidence to talk about, what you've been through and all the adversities. But I think in doing so, they're the people who inspire others. It's almost like they're saying, look, I've been through this. You're not alone. I know I'm not the only person that's been through this. Other people have been through or are going through. And we can, in sharing our wounds, we can help other people to partly to know that they're not alone. Other people have been through this. And in sharing how we overcame it, it gives them nuggets of knowledge for them to potentially try for themselves. And it's not about saying, well, look, I've overcome this, so you should overcome that. It's about saying, I've overcome this and I've done this, and I'm sharing because I want to help you to overcome it. My way worked for me, but it might not work for you, but it's definitely something that you could try. So it's about sharing that. It comes back down to empathy, doesn't it? It's about sharing that knowledge with other people for them to help themselves, because we can all help people in a certain way, at a certain level, to a certain point. But actually, it comes back down to the old adage of, if you give a man a fish, you've fed him for the day. But if you teach him to fish, he'll never be hungry. So if we can help people to help themselves rather than helping them for them, they learn those strategies and coping mechanisms and what works for them to perpetuate that in their lives. So we're helping them to help themselves over time, rather than doing something for them in that moment through our own knowledge and wisdom learned from what we've been through. So again, it comes back down to gratitude. I'm thankful for what I've been through, although it was horrendous. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but it's given me the skills and knowledge now that I can share with other people and share how I coped with it and what I did with it. And it's not saying, oh, aren't I great? I've overcome it. It's like, well, this is what worked for me, and it might work for you. And why don't you try it? I can't do it for you, but I can guide you through it for you to do it for you. So it is about sharing that, being confident, and having the courage to go back to your old wounds and talk about it with that vulnerability, and then share it with other people, to inspire them, hopefully, to take control of their own lives, to do it for themselves.
Yeah, I think that that's, you make so many wonderful points. Part of inspiration is consistency, taking something that works for you and working with it. There was a time when I was in business like 30 years ago and everything was going the wrong way. Never been on a downside. Everything I did always went bigger and then it went worse, and you're not used to it.
Mm.
And I remember having a hard time even going to work, knowing what I was going to face. And I got this little cassette tape, Think and Grow Rich. I'm sure a lot of people know the book. And I had a car where you could use a cassette tape. And it was only 20 minutes to work every day. Every day for a year, I listened to that cassette on the way to work. And by the time I got there, I was in a whole different mood. And then I listened to it every day on the way home from work. So when I got home, I didn't carry my work forward. And that was a year. And it was only two little cassettes. I could mouth them after a while listening to it, but it made that happen for me. It took a mindset. And I think part of it was being aware of where are you right now and how are people going to see you, right? You would never run out of the house without having all your clothes on, but you'll go into an office or a place with being totally undressed, unready, on everything, and you can't allow that to happen. It's hard enough when you got to deal with yourself, but when you got to deal with yourself that you didn't deal with and then expose it to everybody else, it's like a leaky faucet. You gotta put a cap on that thing. And I think that's the important thing is it's not new inspiration, it's whatever works inspiration.
Yeah.
There's certain favorite songs. That's why people have a playlist. And they wouldn't want anything but what they have until they change it. So if life is dynamic, if you can be just as dynamic in responding to it, you're never 1 foot back instead of a foot forward. I think the other big element to people being inspired, and I think you hit on it, lately, all of my major shocks and disappointments, at the time they happened, I was just freaking out. When you get the news or something else. And then later on, a month or two, I said, that turned out to be such a great thing because I would have never seen it so clearly. I never would have felt it that much to make a switch. So at the time, sure, bad news or things are not something you're excited by. But if it says, hey, I was strong enough and willed enough, I would have just kept going and maybe got through it. But instead, I found a more open road with a better person for the situation. And I think if you understand everything's conditional, everything's relative, everything is what you need when you need it. And once you have that, at least you know what you're looking for. Most people say, I want to be inspired. I don't know where it's going to come from. It's going to come from you. No one's going to send you a letter and say inspiration will be delivered in 3 days. And all you got to do is put it in some water and drink it, and you'll be as inspired as you want. Maria comes back with, would anyone be interested in a group for communication? I'm sure a lot of people, I've had collaboration groups. I'm always thinking about starting them. And I think it's one way of getting beyond viewing to actually actualizing yourself. So, I think that's what networking is. That's what this group is. In a way, we meet every day. We meet for an hour with wonderful guests and great words. And everybody's free to get inspired and also inspire others by their comments. So I think there's technology and mediums now that were never available. Dennis says, agree, we do have to get out of our tents to be more attentive. That's kind of cute. Eradicate anger, jealousy, and greed, the world being a utopia for sure. But you know what? Things like LinkedIn Live, and that's why I'm so big on it, is like elevating away from the crowd who's yelling and selling and everything else with their posts, their comments, their likes, their popularity, to really get off into an island in the sun, which is always inspiring, to be on a beach and to be with people who are safe to be with, who are open and empathetic, I think was a key word that we discussed, and makes you feel like, hey, this might be the only place today I can get together with these type of people because everybody else seems to be transactional, right? You go in a grocery store, you buy something, you get something, you give something, you say hello, you say goodbye. I mean, it's just, tit for tat versus, actually, here's what I've been thinking this week, and now I want to share it. And, what is it when you have a prize and you have nobody to give it to? That's very frustrating to say, I got this wonderful cake and I baked it and it's so delicious, and there's nobody I can give it to before it decides it's not a cake anymore. And it's those things that you should have a sense of urgency, but not for pressure. Pressure always creates a sense of urgency in people. The plane's leaving in 10 minutes. How fast can you run? Right? And you run as fast as you can, and sometimes you get there, sometimes you don't. But that plane that's leaving is not always the physical plane that takes you somewhere. It's the like, hey, if I can get onto this thought, and sometimes you got a great thought, but it's not, you want to sustain it. You want to stay with it, and if you don't carry it through, you may never get back to it the right way. And I think that's why carving out more time for self-love, for self-attention, for self-awareness, get your stuff ready and straight. Just like we had the example going into a meeting all disheveled and mind somewhere else. Whatever it takes, that's what it takes. Don't go out shorthanded, and when you go out confident, prepared, and you pay attention to detail, people see that. People say, this person's meticulous. This person is prepared, and all that. Well, Maria says, let's have a conversation for sure. Victoria says, helping and inspiring without expectations of getting something in return is another important note. For sure, because that way you're always going to be a winner. If you always measure it by what you got, you're always going to think, well, I gave to the wrong person, gave too much. And all of a sudden, your whole inspiring element went right out the window. This year, I started my year of yes, and we are in the last quarter of 23. I need change. Everything changes with or without you. Nothing stands still. Being inspired and inspiring is the exchange of energy that is necessary to grow and help humanity express its maximum potential. Oh, for sure. No one can question what inspiration does and what inspiration has done. I mean, look at football games now. They're starting, and you see 100,000 people in a stadium and mascots and dancers and everything else. It's a festival.
Can I just jump in there, Don, on the back of that comment as well? Because it is an exchange of energy. And quite often, inspirational people or inspirational things can lead you to take a leap of faith that you might not have previously thought about doing. And that could be anything from sort of changing jobs, for leaving work, or just whatever. But making a radical change without knowing what you're going into, but knowing that whatever it was no longer fulfills you, and whatever you've heard, seen, or felt from this person or thing has cemented that in, that this path you're on now just doesn't feel right. The energy is changed, and to leap out into nothing essentially. And like you found and I found, our lives changed for the better when we did that. So it's about understanding that hearing, seeing, feeling something inspirational can lead to radical change, not just, as I talked about earlier about building blocks, changing in baby steps, but literally taking that leap of faith into the unknown. And in doing so and changing our lives, the universe always provides for us it can improve our self-esteem, our creativity, our optimism as we see life from a new perspective once we've taken that leap of faith. So it is that massive energy shift, or it can be that massive energy shift, but it can also be those baby steps. There's not one single concrete thing. It's whatever, again, it comes back to that subjective. It's whatever feels right for you, whatever resonates for you. And it's about how you feel about it or how you think about it. It doesn't have to be right for everybody, but it's how you take that on board.
Yeah, that's beautiful, because what it makes me think is a lot of people, if they would get more inspired and change their self, they would change their environment. They would change their relationships. So many people are like, hey, I'm good. I did my share. This person's not holding their end of the bargain up. They're not completing something. And now I have conflict. When what role, what influence do you have on that person by how you decided to be a different person, set the right boundaries? And, at the end of the day, inspiration is based on communication. An artist who paints a painting, that painting communicates. The artist is no longer involved. It just put that piece of art out there. The poet, right? It's the poem that lives on. Some people don't even remember who said it, but it was the poem. So I think that if you want change to happen around you, you have to be the one to make the change and have the influence, because so many people are so quick to leave something or leave somebody. Oh, they did something, I can never forgive them.
Yes.
What does that statement says? You could never forgive them. I mean, they were with you, they were somehow okay, and something happened. And now anytime you put never, you're actually saying you have no interest in changing, or even changing, not knowing if the change is even possible.
Yeah.
But by precluding that and excluding that, and who is the next person who isn't going to waver, right? And if you're more vulnerable, more sensitive, more communicative with people, and a lot of people don't know, just like you don't know what you don't know. And until you say, I don't know if you realize this, or I think what you're doing is great, but I'm in a special category.
Yes.
Right. And that affects me in this way. What do you think of that? And if someone says, I don't care, well, then that answers another question you would have never got an answer for. And if someone says, sorry, I wasn't aware, thank you for bringing that up to date, I'll try to do better. And I think if someone gives themselves that advice, I'm going to try to do better. I'm going to try to be a little bit better, but I'm going to do it in a comfortable way, because I don't think I'm that bad to begin with, right? And if you have patience, if you persevere, if you're willing to examine things as they come through and adjust to it, it's a very easy ride. But if it's, close your eyes and jump off the cliff, that's just too daring for most people. Ivan comes back with, oh, wow, that's exactly why I'm here now. People don't want to believe it's like that on LinkedIn, even when showing it is what it is. Well, the key is, how do you get your true voice, your true picture out there to people? And just having some superficial content, right, that's based on a lot of favorable words, beautiful pictures, you're really moving up and away from yourself, instead of allowing people to come in and go deeper within you with yourself. And, at a certain point, you don't want a mask. You don't want a masquerade. You just want to say, hey, I don't have time to fool around. I am who I am. Here's what I'm into. Here's what I'm looking for. If it fits, maybe there's something. And if it doesn't, it tells people to keep finding something where they can get benefit. Victoria comes back with, so true, Don, I'm going through this on my relations with people. What value from who we have? And are they inspiring us or bringing us joy? And that's so important, Victoria, because I know words have meaning. And I know one picks certain words and they look back and say, that wasn't right. I said that because of me, not for them. I had to make my feelings heard, or I had to give a backhanded compliment to somebody, or dilute it, and my feeling is if you're going to do something, do it fast, do it the best you can for the person who's hearing it, because that's why you're communicating it, right? If you're just going to create mediocrity, you're going to be mediocrity. And I think the other.
Can I jump in there, Don? Because the other thing to remember as well is not everybody's ready to hear your message. So even though you've got an inspirational message to help others, it won't land for everybody. So just, again, come back to that true, authentic self. Be who you are. Let people see who you are. Share your message. And the right people will find you. But you're not for everybody.
Well, not only that, but if the wrong people find you and you bring them in, you're excluding the right people who could have been just around the corner. And now a whole chapter of your life is going to be written that didn't have to be written that way. And I think that's so important is, again, the awareness, am I happy? I think that's the first question. If I'm not happy, how do I get happy? What is it that's not allowing me to be happy? And I think at that point, then you put things in perspective because, okay, I'm taking a risk, but it's for happiness. I have a goal. I have a reason. I have a purpose. And I think when people have that, the criticisms, the outside comments just roll off their back because their mission or purpose is way beyond letting some stranger make you start to question yourself. And again, confidence is so important to feel like I can do it. I'm going to do it. Might take me a little longer, might cost me a little bit more, but I know how much I'm going to feel so good when after that mile walk or that 3-month class I'm taking, and you got to challenge yourself to challenge yourself. And when you get into something, when you get with somebody, you got to rise to the occasion. It's not like buy a ticket and hope something happens, and life is worth it because life will be here so long after we're gone. What did we write our name on? And more importantly, who did we pass the baton to? And that's how you get to live forever, is by passing on something that only you learned or shared or could figure it out. And you feel, hey, now I had a meaning, I had purpose. And some people say, I never achieved what I always wanted and I wanted to be this and that. Well, maybe you can help somebody else achieve that now, right? If you wanted to be a ballerina, right? And for whatever reason it didn't work out, then go help other ballerinas, do something like that. Sarah, this has been very, very inspiring.
Yeah, it has done. It has, and why not share your gift? If we've all got gifts, all our gifts are so different based on our life's experiences and skills and knowledge. So let's share our gift, and like you said, life doesn't go on forever for us. So what do you want to be remembered for? And how can you share your gifts with others so that they remember you for that gift? And what is your gift? And what are you doing with it? I've got a client at the moment who said, her life's passing her by. She's in her 60s and she feels that she's here to learn, to do more. And she just hasn't done anything. So I'm working with her to get over that. And it's about choice. What are you choosing to do? Your life is your own. Yes, we've all got responsibilities, but what choices are you making? And are they getting you to where you want to go? And who are you looking up to? Who's inspiring you to do whatever it is that you want to do? But choose to be happy and choose things that make you feel happy and that enrich your life and nourish your soul. Because at the end of the day, it is a choice. Sometimes it's a rock and a hard plate, but there's always a choice. Sometimes we have to take a sidestep to move forwards, but there's always a choice. Some choices are more difficult than others, but there's always a choice. So if you've heard something or seen somebody inspirational and you want to do something with your life, start making those choices consciously to move yourself forwards to where you want to be, to do what you want to do.
Yeah, and it seems so simple, and it is in its logic and direction. But like anything, everybody typically knows what it takes to be or do something, right? I mean, if someone needs to diet, they know it's a matter of less food, more exercise typically. If you adjust those two over time, and I think over time is the answer, because so many people, maybe they've been suffering for so long, they just want to get out of it. And it didn't take them overnight to get into it, and it's going to take them a while to move from it. But I think the low hanging fruit is the fruit that keeps you going. So if you take something that's simple, something that's easy, and work on that and win, get a small win. If it's well, tomorrow I'm going to clean the counter. It's been kind of dirty, and it will take me like 20 minutes, but I'll do it. And once you do it, you've done something. You intended, you took action, you completed, and pretty soon the next, what is the challenge or the chore? The other thing is, why not get into co-inspiring relationships? You know, people get into codependent relationships, but why not get into co-inspiring? And it could be a neighbor, it could be somebody you meet occasionally, and when you get together, they inspire you, you inspire them. It could be just something they do. It doesn't have to be anything dramatic or profound. It's like every time I see that person, they make me smile. Or I see these kids playing, and I just get so overwhelmed with joy, you know, for seeing that pure innocence, you know, that's so lacking. And look for what is rare, not what's valuable. Too many people focus, well, how can I make money? How can I meet somebody? Versus the other thing is where is the true value that I know will warm my heart for a longer time? And I know there's things that happened in a moment with people that I'll never meet or see again, but it stayed with me, their kind gesture, their joke, their funny, whatever it was. And it's like, wow. And that really meant a difference. So I think making a difference for others will make a difference for yourself, because you're focusing now on creating instead of responding, you know, to being proactive. And I think inspiration is something that's built on experience, success, and, you know, just knowing, hey, now it's time to put that outfit on. You know, we're going to be the generous person for a while. We're going to be the giving person. So, you know, 57 minutes and 55 seconds, this is like a breeze. It's like telling.
Another thing, sorry, Don, to interrupt.
No, please.
Is if you look at something that you want to do and it seems too difficult to do, look at what you can do to any degree, because that breaks it right down into tiny baby steps. Like you say, clean the counter. You know, it might even take a couple of minutes, but do whatever you're aiming for in the future to any degree. And if that means a side step, but that's going to project you forwards, to what degree can you take that step? And it keeps it all in baby steps for those that haven't got the courage to do that massive leap of faith, which is, you know, most of us struggle. We've got to be really between a rock and a hard place to take a leap of faith. But what can we do to any degree to get us to where we want to be? What are the first little steps that we can start taking to make changes in our own lives?
Yeah, and I think that's where it starts always. Every word, every action starts with you, moves from you based on your interest in moving it forward. And also, after a while, just having a schedule, like I say, that seasons everything with inspiration. I do a walk every day, you know, about 2 miles. I do this show every day, and that's inspiring. I eat really, really delicious, nutritious food that I get excited by, you know, and I surround myself with people that are, you know, it's my grandson's 11th birthday today, and just having those events in your life. And you know, it's they're there. The people are there. The people are waiting for you, and you're waiting for yourself, And I also know when you do wonderful things to inspire others, people around you who have no interest sometimes in what you're doing or who you're inspiring become proud of you, become happy for you. And all of a sudden you have collateral benefit from your actions. And anytime you come back and say, I saw this young girl crying and I asked her what it was and she dropped her ice cream and I decided I'd buy her one, whatever it is,
Yeah.
people say, wow, what a wonderful story. I wish I would have had one of those opportunities. And everybody does. Everybody passes somebody. Everybody sees what they want to see. And if they really want to feel goodness, and you have to be of that person type to feel good about going out of your way and doing something special for somebody. Because you know what? That person could be you at any day in the future. Right. And I think by sharing that love, and maybe that person, all they needed was a kind word. Maybe that was the difference between I'm going to go get a job today, I'm going back to school today, I'm going to call my family today, whatever it is, you can help that. And, I believe at the end of the day, you should feel like you left a log pile bigger than you found it.
Yes. It makes you feel good as well, doesn't it? When you help others. It's like you feel their spirit, their energy. You just feel it lifted.
Absolutely, because it's part of the universe. If you couldn't get what you want, can you help somebody get what they want? And at the end of the day, someone got something more because of what you were thinking or doing. And I think, and if you're of the abundance mentality, you're only rich in your mind, right? And some people, some of the most followed leaders in history were penniless, decided, not that money's bad, but goodness for others and with others was the wealth that they went after and they did achieve. So with that said, it's a little bit over. Tomorrow we're going to have Gretchen Skelka with us and Beverly Glazer. It just gets better. I can't wait for 2 more weeks to see Sarah again, and she's still here. So with that said, have an inspiring day. Hopefully some of this will actualize or activate things that will inspire you. Maybe listen to music, look at some art, whatever it takes. And you can say to yourself, because of the opportunity we have with this community, we all became a little bit better for it. So thank you, Sarah. Final words?
Do more of what nourishes your soul. If you find somebody that's inspiring you to do something, do it. Have the courage, just do it.
Yeah, and even little things, like Sarah says, can be big things. So whatever you're in the mood, can digest and feel comfortable with, it's a start. And a start really is where you want to always be. So with that said, thank you all. Have a wonderful day, and we'll hopefully see everybody in about 23 hours. Take care.